real job career. Not, I don't want to say that playing baseball isn't a real job because there's people that get paid millions of dollars to do it. But again, you know, like doing this podcast, sometimes it's just a hobby. And
He gets one high in the air. Left field. This one's got a chance. And let's go on a cowhide. Joyride. Sound the horn. The RailCats clear the yard.
And before we get the podcast started, we had some signings after we got done recording on Halloween actually, and the day that I didn't check because I actually had internet issues, Chuck texted me at like what was it 10:30 right when I was getting ready to go to bed, and he's like, "Hey, we got some signings." I'm like, "Oh, well." The one day I don't check, we have signings. So Howard Rodriguez, who played 33 games last year with the RailCats, will return for his first full season with the RailCats. And then we signed Grant Umberger, a left-handed pitcher from Chester Springs, Pennsylvania. He played college from 2021 to 2023 with Virginia Tech, and then played last year with Toledo. And after Toledo, he went to the MLB Draft League. We won't I mean, I guess I won't be talking much about them right now. I'll wait until I have Chuck aboard and we go through their stats and everything like that. It seems like I will probably have Howard on starting sometime this week. So we'll get him out, and I'm just reached out to Grant. So hopefully we can get him on as well so you guys get to know him a little bit better. But yeah, I think that's all the updates I have before I start editing everything. So enjoy the show. Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to the RailCats Talk podcast. He's Chuck Polarek. I'm Kyle Svetich, and I guess we got to keep this pretty short and sweet because Chuck doesn't know how to plug his computer in. So, and there's not really that much to discuss this week. But anyways, Chuck, how's your week going?
Oh man, we got not very much to talk about, but the stuff that we do have to talk about, top notch.
Well,
Excited.
yeah, there are some exciting things.
Well,
They
what
this week.
what's the feedback on the gift? That's the thing. Because I'm hearing a lot of people are excited about this gift that I got you. And I mean,
Well, I
that's what
don't.
we're talking about. We should be talking about Kyle's Christmas gift.
I I don't know who you've been talking to, but no one has mentioned this Christmas gift just
Ah,
yet. I did mention it to
yeah.
my wife, and she did give me the good old eye roll, like, yeah, okay.
Oh, well, we'll find out.
You'll
We'll
find.
find
Well,
out.
I mean, we'll definitely find out.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. We'll find out.
Um, but there are a couple record updates. Obviously nothing that broke the records, but there's a couple that are surprising and that could be broken if they continue to play for the Railcats. But for career update records, Gio Diaz has 67 stolen bases, which is tied for third in a matter of 2 seasons. Which, if he comes back another year, probably gonna. I'll have to look at the records themselves. Records are kind of hard to find. Kind of have to do some investigating. Uh, right-handed pitcher Yohan Valdez, games played as a pitcher, tied for fourth from 2023 to 2024. Chris Irwin in strikeouts at 255 is second with the Railcats, and fourth in games started at 52. He started in 2021. I doubt that he comes back this year. As talking to, I know you mentioned it, and he kind of discussed him not really coming back just because life happens and you kind of have to move on. So he probably will just stay at the fourth position right now. The single season record, Miguel Sierra is tied for third with 16 home runs on the year. Gio Diaz tied for third with 30 stolen bases this season. This one kind of surprised me. Right-handed pitcher Nate Alexander and left-handed pitcher Josh Smith both with 47 games pitched, which is tied for fifth in a single season for the Railcats, which really surprised me. I think the record is 56. I'm blanking on the name. I had a discussion on Facebook over that as well. So yeah, that one was the more surprising. It seemed like that pitching didn't seem to be would it be utilized that much. I mean, that's almost an entire half of the season that two pitchers were used that much. I mean, even you look at Yohan Valdez pitching 2 years with the Railcats. I know he was utilized a lot this year as well. But 70 that's tied for fourth, and that's just a matter of 2 years on that front. So it's kind of surprising to see he's tied for fourth, and you got two players that played 47 games and they weren't tied for first on that. Is there any of those on there that kind of surprise you? And uh, next year, if some of these players come back, maybe beat some of those records, break some records?
I am not surprised that Geo is close. Um, I personally hope he comes back. I think he is kind of a good foundation
Hmm.
for the team. Um, so he comes back. I think he smashes the record. I think you surround Geo with the right guys on this team, and I think that Geo he smashes the stolen base record again. So we'll see. Uh, I'm not going to count out Chris coming back, just because I think that he's got a decent comfort level with Gary, and I don't like it when guys don't come back and they're good people. I like that. They're family, you
Yeah,
know.
no, I get it. Sometimes it hurts more when they leave and they go play somewhere else
Yeah.
versus them leaving and them being done with baseball.
I I I I don't like when they're done with
No,
baseball.
I mean neither do I, but
I mean,
the blow is a little bit less
yeah,
when they're not going and playing for another American Association team or they're playing the Atlantic. Like, obviously, like the prime example is Tom Walraven, him playing in the Frontier League. But that was it was more of a career choice on the aspect of his uh, real job career. Not, I don't want to say that playing baseball isn't a real job because there's people that get paid millions of dollars to do it. But again, you know, like doing this podcast, sometimes it's just a hobby. And that's how it kind of spins
well,
itself out.
yeah. I mean, like with Wally, he was going to start teaching, so he kind of found a higher calling, I guess you might
Mhm.
say. But still wanted to play, and he still did this year. I didn't get to see him play, unfortunately, but he came in towards the end of the
Yep.
season and still played. So with him, it was rough, but I still looked forward to seeing him on another team and going to see him play. So that was okay. When Adam left, Heidenfelder,
Mm,
uh, I was like, I was really sad about that one because he's a great guy,
yep.
um, and great pitcher, so still had a lot left in the tank. And he said, "Hey, it's time for me to become a police officer." So he's in Florida. I think Fort Lauderdale is a police officer. But I did get to see him this year. He came to
Yep.
a game. So, um, I these guys, it's one of those things where they're family, and sometimes we see our family members every couple years. Sometimes we see, just keep in touch with them.
Yeah, or just, once every blue moon on a holiday and
Yeah.
yeah,
I still send messages to some of these guys, and sometimes they respond back, and sometimes they don't. You know,
It's always the worst part when the significant other steps in and says, "No, you're not playing baseball anymore." DJ Wilkinson kind of had that thrown on him.
did he?
Yes, I believe that's what happened. His significant other was like, "You gotta
Oh
cut that back."
man, he had
He was someone that I really, if he would have came back this year,
a promising
he
future.
he had a chance of getting back. I really thought he did, and
I
that's.
that's
Now,
so
granted, he didn't tell me that personally. I heard it through the grapevine. It
that's
could get
rumor mill.
twisted,
Rumor
but
mill.
nonetheless, that does happen because sometimes you have a person that is maybe a little bit selfish and wants you to all their own and don't want you playing baseball anymore. It
Maybe,
happens. It happens.
maybe I'll tell you what. Not every spouse, significant other, is baseball wife material.
Hmm.
Baseball player is a lifestyle, and sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's not such a good thing. So,
Yeah, so that's just records, updates, that kind of stuff. We did have, well, we had an acquirement, and a signing for the American Association that happened. One happened on the 4th of October, and one happened in the 28th of October. Uh, Ethan Bradford signed for Milwaukee October 28th, and then Lincoln acquired Dan Kubiak from the Atlantic League on October 4th. Kubiak played a couple. I think he played this year for Lincoln. Um, so yeah, got a couple moves there. That's about it. The only other question is what happened to the Baseball Champions League? But Fargo went down there and beat up on some teams down there, and they're like, no, never mind. Don't we're not doing this anymore. I I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything?
I haven't. The only thing I heard is that they really counted out the American Association, and we went down there and beat them, and that's kind of like, okay, this wasn't a good idea.
This sounds like me. If that's not going to happen, that the American Association needs to look at the other independent baseball leagues and say, hey, let's have a grand tournament of our own, right? You have the Atlantic
I
League, and
I thought about that. I spent a lot of brain power thinking about that, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's a win because nobody really comes out ahead if they do that.
no, but it got it. What am I trying to compare it to? I forget. I it's sort of to me, it's kind of like international play. Like for
Yeah,
me, I just always go to hockey. Like they have the four season face off, four nations face off going on this year. So like it's Canada, United States. I can't think of the other two nations that are a part of it. But like some of those nations aren't going to be the best nations. But
right. I mean,
I
you
I
have that
I I
and
think it
stuff.
just gives them an extra, it gives you an extra revenue stream. It gives the players an extra thing to kind of play for. It's a bit of pride. Like, oh, I play for the American Association and we just beat up on the Atlantic League. Like,
Right,
who at that point is really the better league. So I think it just gets more
right.
eyes.
I get all that, and I've already thought about. Here's the catch: if you watch the end of our season, at least this is the way it was, not the season that just finished, but the year before. Guys instantly left our league and went to go play for the Frontier League for the last week that they had so that they could make the playoffs. And then the guys left there and went and played for the Atlantic League to be in their playoffs. So, I mean, some of these guys are just, hey, I want to play more baseball, and they don't necessarily represent your league. They're one of those guys that I don't care what league I play for. I just want to play some baseball and I want to win.
Fine, mid-season tournament.
There you go.
There, that works. Mid-season tournament.
Yeah.
I would pay to see that.
Oh, why don't you have I know you have a lot of players, but why don't you have your all-star team face the all-star team of the Atlantic League, face, you
Well,
know,
I mean,
or
I think the American Association and maybe the Atlantic League have like actual all-star games. Like the Pioneer League, they have all-stars, but they don't have an all-star game. I know for sure the American Association is the only one that has like an all-star game that goes on. So like you get all the all-stars together,
yeah,
and instead
throw
of having an
together,
all-star game, you just have like a all-star tournament.
yeah, have yourself a three-game tournament.
Yeah.
Something like that in the middle of the season, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
No,
Or
but
or not. What do you know?
that's we're not paid the Joshua Schwab bucks here,
No,
so
we're not here to pay to think. We're just
no,
paid to
we
watch,
just throw stuff out there and hope something at some point in time sticks. Oh,
Yeah,
but you know, talking about history, uh, we've got an opportunity. Is that what you would call it? An opportunity?
very.
Possibility. And all the people that are listening, I want you to really think about this. Really hear it. We might have something big.
Hmm.
Not the RailCats team, not for this season, not something like that. But I mean, we've had some pretty big things on this podcast over the past 6 months. We've had some all stars,
Hmm.
had the owner of the team, right? Um, I think this might be bigger,
Oh, Chuck, this is the top of the top, the cherry on top of just Railcat's history here. Like
right?
this is. This is something, if it happens, don't worry. We'll if it's for sure thing that's happening, you're gonna know about it. But right now, I don't want to say, you know what, we got it in the bag and we don't have it in the bag. So
No,
we're gonna keep that on the down low. But
we
trust me, if this
I have
happens,
I have an agreement in principle with this idea. Okay, an
hmm
agreement in principle. So I think it's about a 90% done deal. Anything could come up, anything could change, right? But I mean, this is I'm going to say probably the best thing that RailCats Talk podcast could possibly have at this moment in time.
could you say it may be documentary worthy?
That uh, I think that we just spent 45 minutes talking about the fact that this could be documentary work.
Could be. Could
So
potentially be.
I mean, really, it. I'm wondering if there would be people interested in seeing a Railcats history documentary. That's what I'm wondering. I know I would.
I, yeah.
I mean, so that being said, I am trying very hard to contain my excitement in this because this was just a by chance thing that has happened, and it's great.
Yeah, it really is. And once we get it confirmed, we can tell a little bit of the backstory behind it because
Yes,
it's very interesting how it all kind of came about. But but with that being said, don't worry. If what we say is coming true, also what's going to come along with this is may or may not some special prizes,
right,
giveaways,
right.
some
Well,
memorabilia.
we've got. Well, I'm gonna spoil one. Can I spoil one?
You could spoil
I'm
one.
gonna spoil one. So apparently, at the very first Railcats baseball game at the Steel Yard, opening day of the Steel Yard, they gave away a commemorative opening day baseball to the fans. And as I wait till Thursday and Friday of this week, when that UPS box shows up, will have one. Now, the question is, what am I going to do with it?
Mm. That's the real question. See, this is where all the cards lie in Chuck's hands because he is the one that has done the research and went out and decided that he was going to spend his life saving on RailCats memorabilia, not just for
Oh,
himself,
no, no,
but
I got to correct you on that. See, what happened was you said that I peaked, and I got very depressed about that. And I said, listen, if I've already peaked, I might as well just give away everything I have and find a cardboard box now. So, because of that, I want to thank you because we have run into a whole slew of really cool stuff.
we
And
have.
Keith is already messaging me about picking up his coins that he won last podcast. I'm excited to give him those, right? Uh, we've got the championship ring
Hmm
that could go to some. We've got some couple years of of baseball cards that could go to somebody, and I may have gotten some other stuff.
Yeah,
So
that other stuff may lead me down a rabbit hole to the wall that's behind me to may possibly change.
I
And and that's a tough one because that
ooh,
that that wall's been like that since we've moved in, which is going on about 3 years now.
I
That's how groundbreaking some of this stuff's gonna be.
see this is I'm gonna go back a little bit. So you said I've peaked. And then all of a sudden I noticed that my beard had turned in like 2 days, it turned very gray. And then I was like, I think Natasha made the comment, I think he's looking like Santa Claus or something.
Mm,
Then I was like, wait a second here. Santa Claus can't be on a podcast without bringing some goodies. So
I
kind of
hey, I think the new mascot might just be Chuck the Railcat here because
uh,
he's
no,
starting to give all these gifts away and it's gonna be one of those like, hey Rusty, what are you gonna give me? A high five? No, but Chuck's gonna give me something better.
uh, I mean, think about it. The first giveaway at the Railcat Stadium. It
Yeah, no, and that
really
would and that is something that people that are true Railcats fans are gonna cherish more
right,
than just some random person that's like, oh, I'm just gonna go around buying a bunch of random stuff on eBay.
right,
Like, this is stuff that, it could lead to one, you don't know the avenues to go down to grab this stuff, or two, you didn't really think about it, or three, you just don't have the funds to do it.
right.
And to me, I would rather it sit in someone's bookshelf and not sit on eBay waiting for someone to buy it.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's what this kind of turns itself into. Like, obviously, you're going to take some of this stuff and keep it yourself because you're going to cherish it. But the stuff that, um, really, a lot of the stuff that you're talking about keeping really isn't as significant as the stuff that you're giving away.
right. I
Like,
know.
some of this stuff is like, you sure you want to give that away?
Well, that's the thing is that I think the connection that I've made here,
Hmm.
and if I can bring that guy into the fold of the podcast, I mean, this is a guy that maybe he's an original Railcat collector. Maybe maybe he's getting up in age. It's like, hey, I've collected all this stuff and I really want to find a home for it. Maybe he is, right? Maybe it's a young guy that inherited a bunch of stuff and he's like, I don't even know who the real cats are, but there's some good stuff. Well, we don't know, right? But these are some gems. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and with these gems, me and Chuck, or Chuck and I, however you want to word it, proper grammar here, because that's what we care about at this podcast is proper
we
grammar.
do. We do. We want to teach lessons. The more you know.
We are going to work out some sort of way to make it fair for everyone to get an opportunity to grab this stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
We don't know how we're gonna do it quite yet. We've got rumbles going on, but there is some way that it's going to be an even chance for someone to have an opportunity to get this memorabilia. And when we get to that point, obviously we're just not gonna be like, oh yeah, it's just some a random t-shirt. Like, you're gonna see a picture of it and we're gonna show
right.
it like so you know what it's going to be. And it's not gonna be the key to this is it's gonna be completely free to you guys.
Yep.
There's nothing that we're not nothing about this is going to
We're not
be,
going to have you sign up for a gambling site
yeah, no,
and then put $20 in and
exactly.
to us, and then we're not going to do that.
And give you a half printed
Sweat.
sweatshirt.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Yeah,
Uh,
no.
but here's the thing, though. Just like everything else, right? Me and you talk, and then all of a sudden, like the sky opens up and the sun shines, and we're like, "That's it,"
Hmm.
right? We've had quite a few of those moments, and I think that when we come up with the idea of how we're going to give this away, the sky will open up and be like, that's it. That's how we have it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the way we're really, I think that by giving away this stuff, by potentially having this guest on, by potentially having documentary worthy conversations, we're really elevating this podcast to the next level.
Yeah. I we're
So,
we're getting there.
Ryan's really going to have to step up.
Ryan, yeah, he's not.
No.
He's right now. He's not very happy because obviously I pay him in gum and with all this work that we're potentially going to throw on him, he's asking for two pieces of gum when he can barely earn one piece of gum.
Right. That,
So it's
that's it. Yeah, especially when it's ABC go.
yeah.
Yeah, poor guy.
Give him the was it Wrigley's Juicy Gum or whatever, the ones that only last like you chew two bites and you're
Actually,
done.
here's what I will do for Ryan. Okay, I'm a giving guy. I will go on eBay and I will try to find some of those baseball cards from 1990 that had the gum in them, and I'm sure that I can find some unopened packs. And we will give him that gum. The gum that you put in your mouth now, and it just instantly dissolves to nothing.
Oh, that would be terrible, but funny.
Well, I can tell you about 10 years ago, I tried some of that gum from 1990 and it does dissolve instantly.
Yeah. Obviously, last week we had a lot more to talk about. This week, not so much. Uh,
Yeah. It's,
we're in the dog days of the off season. We're like almost there. We're next week should this is gonna happen, right? So next week, obviously Sunday starts daylight savings. So remember that daylight savings. Actually, by the time this podcast comes out, it's gonna be past that anyways, because
hope you didn't forget it's daylight
yeah,
savings.
daylight savings. Too bad. Anyways, uh, by the time this podcast comes out, I'll be doing overnights, and I know as soon as these overnights start, they're gonna drop a bunch of signings on me because that's what happened not last year, but the year before I was doing inventory at our store, and that's when like I slept throughout the day and I went into work and I looked and I went, oh my God, we signed all these people and I had no idea because I was sleeping. That's what they're gonna do to me. So
I'm gonna try to see if I can contact some people and see if they can sign around your schedule.
yeah, I would really
I
really
think that that's
appreciate
what
that.
I mean, we're really taking this podcast to that level that it should be a consideration.
You're right. I should contact Joshua Schwab and let him know that there should be no signings of any kind for the RailCats. None that can get approved until I'm, you know,
Well, I mean, if you wanted to go that route, I guess you could. He probably doesn't even know who we are. Matter of fact, we can guarantee he doesn't know who we
you're
are,
right. He's
right?
right.
But he'd be like, "Who? I'm sorry, you got the wrong number, buddy." But I mean, you could. I could make some phone calls.
Hey, listen, sometimes when you shoot your shot, you gotta shoot for the moon, and sometimes you don't leave Earth's orbit. So,
That's true. That's true. Would you? Let's just. I want to kind of hype this just a little bit. The potential that we have here. Would you say that it's better than having the commissioner of
yeah,
American Association?
yeah.
So would I.
Yeah. For the this if this does happen, which you said we're about 90% sure that
Yes.
will happen, this will for Railcats fans and maybe baseball fans that follow independent baseball in general, but I know for Railcats fans, this would top having you could say even having Joe on. And I don't want to put that on, obviously I know that Joe may or may not listen to these podcasts,
He does.
but the amount of depth, the amount of history this goes to,
Yeah.
I would have never thought in a million years this would happen.
I it
I
was
didn't even think it was a possibility.
like we're gonna have to have a serious conversation about how this happened.
Yes.
We'll do it after all this stuff airs out. Maybe at the beginning of the year. We'll start it off with this. But I wouldn't have thought, like I said, when we discuss things, when we're looking at things, all of a sudden the sky opens up and the sun shines down and it's and that's our moment, right?
Yep.
And this is one of those things, just like meeting Joe, and Joe says, "Yeah, I'll be on your pod." That was fantastic. I said,
Hmm.
"Man, this is a great get. I don't think we'll ever be able to top this." And now, I don't know,
Foundational work.
next level, I think. And I'm excited because I have probably a book of questions that I want answers to. And I really think this guy might have answers.
Yeah. Well, Chuck, final thoughts for the week?
It's going to be stressful. I am going to spend my time looking at my gifts that I will have come Thursday and Friday. But also, I'm going to be nagging that person to be on the podcast. Let's see if this irons out. So kudos to you. Kudos to Ryan. Kudos to me. We're lifting this up. This podcast is going to be next level.
More kudos to you. You're the one that got the fish line
No,
out there and you got a snag. And you it was one of those like you're this was like not even like I don't want to fish today. I'm not even looking at fishing, but I'm just gonna throw this line out here because I'm looking for this is like you looking for gold, right? And you find diamonds.
yeah.
You were looking for gold. You found gold, but then you also found diamonds.
Oh, I would say that this is one of those things where you're just like sitting there and all of a sudden the doorbell rings and you find out you're the Publishers Clearinghouse millionaire. That's what I mean, you're not expecting your day to change, right? You're not expecting any of that. And all of a sudden you're like, what?
Hmm.
Really? Okay. We have to make this happen.
Well, I guess you guys are just gonna have to wait and find out.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna do it for this week's episode. So
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening, whenever you're watching this, and go
Go
Cats.
get it.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike three. Wrap this one up in green and white.